Alright everyone, thank you all for joining me once again for some more Umineko. It's always fun and interesting to see the meta battle between Battler and the Witch because they're always trying to find all these odd, strange ways to mentally outwit the other because what choice does Battler have? He can't use standard means against a Witch. So that's pretty much like what makes this game so incredible because it's essentially him trying to find ways to not have to blame his family or to even suspect them at all. He wants to believe there's someone else out there like Beatrice herself that's causing all this murder and scheming and whatnot, and that's what we're here to find out, guys. Long way to go, but it's gonna be a fun ride. So if anything else, thank you all for the love and support, and let's keep on keeping on. Alright guys, and we are back.
悪魔の理論だ。めちゃくちゃだ。
話が逸れてしまったようだな。そろそろ話を戻そうぞ。わらわの反撃の一手は以上だ。そなたの19人目が犯人だから、18人は無実で魔女も存在しない。ならば19人目が犯人でないことを証明できたら、18人か魔女のどちらかが犯人ということで確定するぞ。との確認だ。
For a while, I just stood there, shocked, completely forgetting to close my mouth. Just when I thought I got my own back on them by using their favorite move against them, the counterattack to that had been this reckless argument that I could not even have begun to imagine. Was it really impossible? To continue denying the witch on an island with no more than 18 people, and yet still believe in the innocence of those 18 people? Was that just a delusion? Was I just trying to escape reality? Not yet. Don't give up this struggle yet. Who cares about whoever's Raven? They're just trying to speak in riddles by bringing up some weird bits of trivia. I had used the devil's proof. Don't feel doubt in something once you've used it. Believe in the spirit you've lunged forward with. Apply even more force and gouge it in.
まだまだ序盤だぞ。この程度で長考するつもりか？
いや待て、確認するぞ。確かに俺は、わかりやすく19人目という言い方をしたが、悪魔の証明によって18人以上人間を増やせるなら、それは10人いるか100人いるかもわからない。不特定多数ということだ。お前が想定する人数より常に1人多い。わかるか？
She had returned my twisted logic with something even more twisted. So the only thing that could counter that would be even crazier twisted logic.
なるほど。わらわが19人目のアリバイを何らかの方法で証明したとしても、その瞬間にそなたは20人目を生み出し犯人だと主張する。
That's what I was saying in the previous video. Why can't you just think of a 20th or 21st or even 30? You know, it goes on.
これを無限に繰り返すことによって、わらわは永遠に彼らのアリバイの証明が終えられないというわけか。なるほど、なるほど。さながらイナゴの大群を呼び出す魔王よな。さすがは金蔵の孫よ。召喚術の才能には恵まれていると見える。
つまり、18人以外の存在 X は、常にアリバイを証明することが不可能なんだ。どうだ、ベアト。ヘリクス合戦だと分かれば、俺も負けねえぜ。
She seems to enjoy it though.
愚かしいぞ。わらわを誰と心得る。わらわこそは無限の魔女。そのわらわに無限にて挑むとは片払いたいわ。無限を操ることはつまり無限を殺すこともできるということ。
I feel as though that's contradicting.
わらわが19人目を切れば そなたは20人目を呼び、20人目を切れば21人目を呼び、21人目を切れば22人目を切れば、23人目を呼び、34人目を呼び、6計4358兆2235億7967万3204人目を呼び。
That was such a mouthful, I have to give it to this voice actress right here.
わらわを永遠に翻弄で生きるとでも？無限交代とは笑わせる。わらわに無限は通じぬわ。
ほう。ならばどうやってこの俺の無限を殺すんだよ。見せてみろよ。
わらわには真実を赤で語る力があろうが。
Ah, we're back to the truth in red.
来やがったな。
わらわが赤で語るとき、そこには一切の幻想がない。
Who's to say that's absolutely true, though? Again, she could be lying to us. She's a witch. She can do anything, almost.
わらわがこの島には100人しかいないと一言赤で語れば、そなたにはもはや101人目を生み出すことは叶わぬのだ。
Well, you know what? If we're going by twisted logic against twisted logic, why doesn't Battler come up with his own colored truth? That'd be interesting, right? I'm like, wait a second. You want to speak in colors? We'll speak in colors too.
ほーら、バトラ。今度はどんな真実を赤で語ってみせようか。どんな拠り所を叩き切って、そなたを絶望に突き落としてやろうか。そーら、いつもの怯えた顔を見せてみるがいい。なに？そなた、笑うか？
I wonder what kind of creepy look I had on my face as I laughed right then. That red sure is scary. Every time it jumps out, I'm driven to the depths of hopelessness. But I had already realized it. There was no need to be unnecessarily afraid of the red.
また抜きやがったな。殿下の宝刀だ。それで今度はベアトリーチェ様は何をどう赤で語ってくださるってんだ？
ほう。それはどういう意味か。急に余裕を見せよって。
悪いが、その真っ赤な宝刀は俺も抜いてくれるのを待ってたんだ。さて、お前は今度は何を赤で宣言してくれるんだ？犯人は18人の中にいるとでも言ってくれるのか？言っとくが、そいつは自爆だぜ。その時点で、お前は魔女説を自ら捨てたも同然。まさに盗猟だ。
That's right. The red isn't always necessarily to Beato's advantage. On the contrary, if she used it the wrong way, it's dangerous enough that she could bring about her own death. If she used it carelessly and said something which ended up denying herself, that would be exactly the same thing as self-destructing.
確かに俺にとっても、18人の中に犯人がいると赤で言われることは、受け入れたくない悲しい事実さ。たとえ誰が犯人であっても、俺はきっと辛い気持ちになるだろうぜ。だが、それはそれ以前に、お前の敗北も意味する。人間が犯人だとお前が赤で語ることは、お前の投了宣言にも等しい。お前が、俺と差し違えても相打ちにしたいってんなら、それも面白い一手だろうぜ。だが、この勝負は俺の勝ちで終わる。
Beatrice's red was truly her secret weapon, her treasured blade. The things she spoke in red would become solidified as the truth, and no amount of evidence or counter-arguments could change them. They had cut me down to size many times now, rending in two any supports my heart had to lean on. However, if she used it carelessly, and I could also find a little information about the truth. In the last game, especially during the chapel's locked room trick, I had taken advantage of that, and had once closed her in almost completely. But she was also pretty sly. She had learned from experience, and since then had started using discretion in the timing of the red. This feeling of tension was almost literally like a battle with real swords. This was a battle of high intelligence. No, not of intelligence. It really was twisted logic. This was the world's craziest and worst battle of twisted logic.
さあ、今度はお前の手番だぜ。そうさ。お前のヘンペルのカラスを使うには、まず、18人以外に何人の人間がいるのかを赤で確定させる必要がある。その上で、それらの人間について、さらに赤で犯人でないことを宣言したならば、なるほど。こいつは俺にとって致命傷になるだろうぜ。
あれほど怯えていた赤を、もはや微塵も怯えぬとはな。たくましいやつよ。
抜いてみろよ。殿下の宝刀。バッサリ決まって、今度こそ俺を屈服できるかもしれねえぜ。
面白い。こうでなくてはな。
Agitate her. Provoke her. Drive her into a corner to make her speak in red. Of course, her red has always cut right through my only threads of hope. But don't be afraid of that. On this island, overcome with falsehoods and illusions, the only thing I can trust is the information that she speaks in red. It's my only way across the chasm of hell. Just a single tightrope. Her merciless blood-red blade is the only way I can survive. This isn't just walking on a tightrope, it's literally like walking on the edge of a blade. Of course I'm afraid. In terms of her contrapositive, my victory condition, the denial of the witch, meant that the culprit was a human. But I didn't want to search for the culprit amid the 18. Therefore, I held on to a weak point which I had to deny the witch and the 18 at the same time. Since I had been unable to understand that last time, that was where she had hit me, leaving me tattered and defeated. But that's alright. Let her hit me. Let her attack. No problem. Someone said it once in an old sword fighting movie. That a good fortress has one and only one intentionally weak point. The enemy would gather there. They would be lured there. And that would be where the actual battle took place. As long as I understand my weak points, as long as she wants to attack those weak points, it's as if I've induced her to attack there. Carefully judge the distance from your enemy and retreat step by step. Make them draw their swords first. The more she recklessly flourishes that red, the more chances I'll have to strike back. Don't be afraid of the red. Keep the pressure on so that she is forced to refute with the red. No matter how oppressively she speaks in red, yes, that red itself is the same as fresh blood spreading from her wounds.
さあ、どうしたよ。まずはこの島に合計で何人いるのか。さもないと、お前のカラスは俺に切り込めないぜ。
破れかぶれがこうもやりにくいとは。捨て身というやつはいつの時代も侮れんな。やはり金蔵の孫か。追い詰められれば追い詰められるほどに不敵。
Ronald cleared his throat.
膠着しましたね。せっかくの紅茶も冷めてしまいますよ、お嬢様。
Ronald, who was supposed to be our ally, roguishly rushed her next move. Bieto smiled back, probably intending to demonstrate that she was still relaxed, but she couldn't hide the sweat building up on her forehead. By now, she had completely lost the relaxedness which had allowed her to turn her nose up at her worthless opponent. Of course, she probably wasn't really cornered by something like this. She was just being cautious. Until now, I had been inexperienced. I didn't have a good grasp on how to fight, and I was underpowered as an opponent. However, now that we had reached the third game, she realized that I was starting to become skilled, and she had grown more cautious, thinking every move over carefully. Sure, that's just fine, Beatrice, and sorry to have kept you waiting. Are you happy now?
面白くなってきたぜ。
バトラ
拉致が開かねえな。なら、ズバッと気持ちよく、いつものやつで行こうじゃねえか。
ほう。いつものやつとな。ならば頼もうではないか。あれを聞かぬと。やはり始まった気がせぬわ。
The first move was mine.
行くぜ、ベアト。副将要求。この島には18人しかいない。
Uh-oh.
こいつを赤で言われちまったら、俺は18人の誰かを疑わざるを得ない。19人目の仕業にはもうできず、八方塞がりさ。だが、俺は18人の中に犯人が絶対にいないと信じてる。あんな残酷な殺人を、18人の誰にも起こせるものか。繰り返すぞ。副将要求。この島には18人しかいない。
拒否する。理由は明かさない。
Whew. I'd avoided what would have been the worst red for me. If she had repeated that, I would have been faced with those two worst choices of accepting the witch or suspecting one of the 18, like last time all over again. But Beata had not proclaimed my ultimate and greatest weakness in red. She had declined to repeat it, even though there was no reason why she shouldn't have struck, even though it was a weakness she should have been drooling at. She had sliced me up with red by using that move, which should have been as good as forking a rook and a king. This was a big sign of my advantage. That's right, the culprit isn't one of the 18 people. I won't doubt anyone. And since the culprit isn't a witch either, it means that a 19th person exists on this island. And that's you. A person who, as grandfather's mistress of 30 years, has been living secretly in a hidden mansion in the forest for a long, long time. The human Beatrice.
そうさ。お前は魔女なんかじゃない。この島に何十年も隠れ住んできた。ただの人間なんだ。
1000年を経た無限の魔女のわらわをただの人間呼ばわりしたか。
Well, she did admit she was human once, so... Battler doesn't know that, though. For a while, Beatrice continued to laugh unpleasantly, gloating, or maybe spiteful.
いいか。続けるぜ。続けて副将要求。この島には19人以上がいる。
Beatrice fell silent once again. The feeling that confirming the number of humans on this island might possibly stand to give her some large disadvantage was probably making her extremely cautious. The red had already become a foothold for my counterattack. With that in mind, the red had become a risk for the witch. But if she couldn't repeat this, her Hempel's Raven wouldn't work. In order to break my devil's proof, first, the existence of and the number of people outside the 18 needed to be confirmed in red. That's right. She couldn't break the existence of a 19th person unless she used red. I had closed Beato in, giving her no choice but to speak in red. There really was a way to fight in this witch's game.
拒否してもいいんだぜ。お前が赤で言えないなら、この島の合計人数は18プラス X ってことになる。この X は初手で許すには相当でかい大駒だぜ。何しろ以後18人の誰にも不可能だったという根拠のトリックは全て18人以外の人間 X で説明可能になる。全員アリバイ系の密室を全て打ち破れる大駒だ。
It was just like a bishop in chess which can cut a thin line through enemy forces as long as there's a slight gap. It only exerts an effect over squares of the same color, but it has a great ability to control the board. It looked like Beato also well understood her current plight. She couldn't just let such an important piece go, especially this close to the beginning of the game. If she pulled out her red treasured sword, it wouldn't be that difficult to save that piece. But Beata was completely aware that I was expecting it. She was afraid that a careless red truth might end up strangling her own neck. Because, in the first place, which was something which should be denied in red. Believe, don't doubt, witches don't exist. Something like that can't exist in this world. They can only exist in the cracks in reality. They are a fragile existence curled up in these cracks, frantically trying to protect themselves from the brutal winds of truth. And they can only barely exist like a mirage by surviving off falsehoods and fantasy. In other words, the red, which only witches can use, is the very reality by which they risk denying themselves. The more they brandish their red words, the more they begin to lose, bit by bit, that crack in reality inside which they can... Sorry about that, guys. Which they can endure. That is why they don't want through the red. To carelessly lose that crack in reality which is based on fuzzy information, or in other words, fantasy. Because they understand that they would be gradually cornering themselves. Of course, she would never admit it, because if she did, it would be the same as admitting that she is something that can't exist in this world like an imaginary number. Don't be afraid. Stay strong. She knows this deep down and better than anyone, that her red treasured sword can't easily be used without considerable resolve.
どうしたよ。繰り返すぜ。副将要計。この島には19人以上がいる。
拒否する。
At the end of a long time spent deliberating, letting a single deep breath escape, she quietly proclaimed her refusal. I thought that she'd used it. But Beato refused to speak in red even though it would cost her victory in the opening part of the game.
拒否したな。ということは今後、俺は18人以外の架空人物 X を何人でも使い放題ってことになるぜ。
好きにするがよい。わらわはそなたの副将を拒否した。今はそれで十分であろう。
Either that or you're a sore loser.
拒否の理由は、いや、今はまだ明かさぬ。いずれすぐにわかる。
もったいぶりやがってよ。
あえて使わぬ赤もまた赤らしい使い方よ。そなたは赤き宝刀と呼んだな。愉快な例えよ。わらわも使おう。宝刀は抜かぬうちが花よ。むしろ抜かぬことによって醸せる畏怖というものもある。
そうだな。俺はお前がいつ赤でひっくり返してくるか常に念頭に置いて戦わなければならない。こいつはえれえプレッシャーだ。それに副将を拒否される方が辛い場合もある。何しろ俺の読みが正しいから拒否できないのか、ミスリードにはまって泳がされてるのか、区別がつかないからな。そういう意味ではなるほど抜かずの宝刀ってわけだ。
なあ、同じ突き落とすなら少しでも高いところに行かせてからに限る。まだ始まったばかり。まだまだな。この勝負は淡き勝利に今は酔え。今はな。
That bitter comment did in fact appear to have marked the end of the game's opening battle. Even so, I couldn't relax my guard at all. I was unable to relax my feelings of tension until I was greeted by the sound of Ronno's applause.
お見事です、バトラ様。まずは序盤は、バトラ様有利の展開でスタートというところでしょうか。
さあな、この駒が俺の手でもぎ取ったものなのか、取るよう誘導されたものかはまだわからねえな。どうせお前のことだ。俺が罠にはまり始めてるのを知ってて、白々しく拍手をしてるんだろ。
まさか。序盤とはいえ、お嬢様より一本を奪った手腕を純粋に祝福いたしております。何しろお嬢様は、 すぐ増長するお方。たまにはこのような刺激も良い薬かと思いますよ。
お前んとこの執事、ほんと口悪いな。
であろう？たまにわらわでもカチンとくるぞ。
それは大変に失礼いたしました。さあさあ、お嬢様にバトラ様。紅茶のおかわりはいかがですかな？まだゲームは始まったばかりでございます。ゲームを彩るお茶とお菓子は、どうか、どうぞお気兼ねなく、ゲームをお勧めになってください。
そうさせてもらう。先を進めるぜ。これからが本番だ。
よかろう。時計を進めようではないか。ロノウェ、紅茶を頼む。
かしこまりました。クッキーはい
らぬ。ベルゼブブにあれば喜ぼう。しばし沈黙せよ。
While listening to the sound of the demon butler pouring tea, the witch closed her eyes slightly and fell into silence. For some time she was deeply lost in thought, but eventually a roguish glint came into her eyes.
よかろう。わらわがどうして初手にて赤で語るのを拒否したのか。
何？上等じゃねえかよ。お手並み拝見と行くぜ。
やはり見逃すには惜しい大駒よ。拙速かもしれぬが動かせてもらおう。赤は使わぬが、今よりそれをわらわに代わってローザが説明する。聞くがよい。
And we're back to the story. That was a long meta battle.
もちろん私も同意よ。ローザもそうでしょ？ローザ？
ごめんなさい。私も同じよ。同意するわ。
どうしたんや、ローザさん。あんたさっきからずいぶんおとなしいな。体調でも悪いんとちゃうか？
From the beginning, Rosa had never been one to willingly cut in on the siblings' fights. But even so, she seemed unmotivated, and had said almost nothing at all during the night's conference. The whole time she had been hanging her head and appeared to be thinking of something else.
あんたさっきからぼんやりしてるわよ。そんなので遺産が守れると思ってるの？あんたも一児の母なんだから、もっとしっかりなさいよ。
ごめんなさい。
朝がだいぶ早かったんじゃないかね。体調が悪いなら無理をしない方がいいだろう。
客室にベッドの用意がありますよ。お休みになってはいかがですか？ご案内しますよ。
いえ、大丈夫です。ありがとう。
どうしたんだ？何か心配事でもあるのか？
いえ、別に。
そう？さっきからずっと心ここにあらずという感じよ。そしてそれは今私たちがしている議題と何か関係があるんじゃないかしら。
At those words, everyone stared at Rosa together. As if in response, Rosa's shoulders quivered. Apparently, Kire's guess hadn't been wrong, nor did Rosa deny it.
いえ、
She swallowed whatever it was she had been about to say and went silent again. By now, even the other siblings were also beginning to realize that something about her demeanor was different from usual.
どうしたんだ？さっきからおかしいぞ。何か思うことでもあるのか？
わしら全員で団結しようって誓い合ったばかりやないか。一人で悩むなんて水臭い話やで。話したってな。
ローザ、話しなさい。
Pressed by the men one after the other, Rosa made up her mind and nervously began to open up. It was almost as though she was trying to confess to some modest prank which had inadvertently brought about a serious situation. Such was the atmosphere in the room.
いえ、 ベアトリーチェっていうお父様の愛人って本当に生きてるのかしらって思って。
はあ？
Alright guys, I'm gonna end the video here for today. Thank you all for watching. When we come back, we're finally gonna return to this main, I would say main story, I believe. Or, the game piece, if you will. The game of chess. And see what happens next. So thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in the next one.